Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the DLF Trade Show and the DLF YouTube channel. Russ and Addison are here and ready to talk about trades. Right? It's the trade show, and there were trades.
Yes.
So we can talk trades, and that's so exciting. I love it. I am so ready for I love this NFL where they trade players. And it's not even the trade deadline. So there's still stuff that could happen. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Just to put it out there in case this show is your sole source of NFL news, Davante Adams got traded to the Jets, and that's who we're going to talk about first. You know what? There was another wide receiver trade, but just in case you don't know, we're going to keep that suspense building up inside of you. We're going to build the tension, and we're going to talk about Davante Adams, who is now a member of the New York Jets and it was finally happening with Garrett Wilson, and now this happens. And I know that it's not a complete loss for Garrett Wilson, and I know that's not even who we're talking about, but it was finally happening, and now there's change. How do you feel about Davante Adams on the Jets?
He just is, I obviously he's a very elite wide receiver. It's great for him to get out of the situation that he was in Vegas, in terms of the quarterback situation. Now, for the past 2 years that he was in Vegas, were the highest 2 years that he's ever been targeted in his career. When he was in Green Bay, even when there was nobody else behind him, with Aaron Rodgers, he was still not targeted as much as he was in Vegas for the past 2 years. Now, quality of targets might be a different thing. 180 targets from Minshew and O'Connell and Jimmy Garoppolo, that might equal 130 targets from Aaron Rodgers. So there's definitely that. But I think we should expect volume to dip, but efficiency and especially touchdown scoring, I think, could go up in New York. So I'm hopeful, at least for Adams's production.
I think I'm excited. I want to be excited.
Yes, I feel like that's how we should feel, but it's weird that we both don't feel that way. That we're just kind of oh, Adams is on the Jets now with Aaron Rodgers. Yay.
Don't get me wrong. I love that Davante just wanted to play with his friends. It really makes my heart happy that he just wanted to go play with Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers again. And that's what he cared about. I love it. That just makes me happy. He'll be good. And again, I think we're going to look at the prices we're talking. You might not have to be as nervous because of the prices that I think it will take to get him. But I guess let's just get into it, right? Let's go look at these prices. First trade is a 16-team, one quarterback, a 26 first, Davante Adams and Kareem Hunt for Zay Flowers and a 26 third. Is there any world you thought to look to see where this first was? Because in a 16 team, I feel like that matters.
Yeah. So it is a 2026 first, but the teams first that it is currently, they are 4-2. And I think there's 3 or 4 teams in this league that are 4-2. So they're in the playoff hunt, and potentially in the championship hunt as well. So the team looked pretty solid for it wasn't like he just went all in on 2025 and then 2026 is going to be bad and it's going to disintegrate. And this pick is going to be super valuable. I think this pick has a good chance to be 112 to 116, which in a normal 12-team league, one quarterback league, is the 201 to 204. Well, 112 to 204, somewhere in that range, I guess. So it could be an early second in normal quarterback leagues.
Exactly what I needed to hear. So this is actually pretty even on the analyzer. I'm curious just how different it would be if you changed that to a 12-team early second kind of thing. Not asking you to do that because that's work. But hearing that makes me feel like this a lot better. It is apparent that Zay Flowers is the guy in Baltimore right now, and he's doing something with it, which I honestly wasn't super ready for. He is exceeding my expectations of him. So I would do this if I'm either like it's tough to do if you're a competing team to move from Adams to Flowers, but like we know what we're getting out of Zay Flowers, and we know we are getting 7 years of age back in this trade. Kareem Hunt and the 26th third value is almost exactly the same, so I'm not even going to talk about either of those because whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think no matter the direction of my team, I would consider this trade for Zay Flowers.
I think I'm on the Zay Flowers side on this one too. I mean, yeah, if you look in the analyzer, I pulled up a 12-team one quarterback early second round pick is valued around 140 points. So you're effectively cutting that pick in half.
Yeah.
For value. So that is the difference, I think, between a 26 first in normal leagues versus an early second in one quarterback. So if you're telling me all I have to add is an early second round pick to Davante Adams, and I can just buy back a bunch of age in Zay Flowers, and I mean he's been producing well the past 2 games. Actually, he's been phenomenal. I don't know what happened last week. He had like 9 for 130 in the first half, and then did not have a single catch in the second half. But
because it was Mark Andrews time, baby.
That is right. That's what they did. They were blowing out Washington by that point too. But yeah, I think I went the Zay Flowers side on this one. I think that this is something I would like to use the hype of Davante Adams returning with Aaron Rodgers to try to enter a wide receiver tier that was probably previously unavailable to you with Davante Adams.
Yeah, and I will say, you know, the whole where does a 26 pick land is usually a game I don't play. But in this very specific situation, if we can tell that something short of an apocalyptic event to ruin this team and they'll still be a quasi playoff team, like this could be the 108 in a 1 QB, and I still won't be that sad about it. Nice. All right, so let's move on to a 12-team Superflex where Davante Adams was traded for a 26 first and Luke McCaffrey. Davante Adams is 219, a 26 first is 240, and Luke McCaffrey is 16.5. So 219.1 to 256.8. You know, like Adams for a 26 first feels fine. I don't think I want to give up a first for Adams. I don't care that it's 26. I know I'm going to take the easy answer and say if I could find a way to give 2 seconds instead, or a second and a player, or like even if you're telling me it's like a first for Adams and a second or something like that, it's not something I really want to give up a first for Adams without seeing what his production is like on the Jets. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, no matter how well he does, that price isn't going to go up. He's 31. It's like that price is what it is. Like you're not going to get more than a first for Davante Adams at this point. So I would much rather wait before sending that first for Adams.
Yep, I agree. I think there's so many other things that you could do with that 26 first. And even if you're like, well, the only thing I can buy is a aging but hopefully productive veteran, I'd try to point you, you know, if you had to spend that 26 first, I think that could be maybe better used on a Cooper Kupp or a Mike Evans, you know, like send it for Deontay Johnson. Then you at least get some longevity, or Chris Godwin, you know, or somebody like that. Those are, even Terry McLaurin at this point.
I was waiting for you to stop talking to be like, or that new beautiful connection between Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin.
Like even that is more interesting because you feel like you get more longevity with those players because they, you know, even Cooper Kupp is like the same age as Davante Adams, and Evans is like the same age as Davante Adams, but they're not in new offenses. They're in very known situations, very known elitely producing situations. And the other guys I mentioned, like Godwin and McLaurin and Deontay, are in their late 20s. So you definitely are going to have more longevity with them in their situations too. So it's just, I mean, I still at the end of the day probably don't want to pay a first for any of those guys, but I think Davante Adams is at the end of that list in terms of who I would actually want to go out and try and pay a first round pick for.
Because like, what happens if Rodgers is done after this year?
What happens if Davante Adams is just fine? Like him and Garrett Wilson just cannibalize each other, and that doesn't. But that's the fear, though, is, you know, like what you were saying. You want to see what the production looks like, because we could easily say that, yeah, Davante Adams comes in and this whole offense elevates to a level that it wasn't at previously. But what if Davante Adams is just the Allen Lazard replacement in this offense? A better Allen Lazard, I'll give you that for sure. But he might not be the one piece that this offense was missing that now all of a sudden is going to turn it into a juggernaut where there's just fantasy points for everybody. Like he might just be a 14, 15 fantasy point per game type of guy. And I'd feel at 31 years old, that's not worth a first round pick.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to, all right, you ready for it? Breaking news from yesterday. Mm-hmm. Amari Cooper traded to the Buffalo Bills.
Holy crap.
No, I love this. Clearly things in Cleveland are not it. They're just
that's putting it lightly, for sure.
That's the best way I could think to do it on a family styled channel. So going to Josh Allen, who's very, very good and doesn't really have a very, very good wide receiver to throw to, and Amari Cooper is still very, very good. So I'm all in on this. Do you have anything groundbreaking opinion-wise on Amari Cooper to the Bills?
I would reserve your overall hype in terms of where his ceiling can get to, because Amari up to this point, I mean, he's played with Dak Prescott in a very high passing volume offense as well, yes. At a much younger age. And he did that with and without CeeDee Lamb over the course of his career in Dallas, and didn't really have like that ultra high end wide receiver one ceiling.
Oh yeah.
He did well last year in Cleveland, but was not a wide receiver one. Even had the multiple years that he had in Vegas, Oakland at the time, with a potential MVP candidate, Derek Carr, at the time as well, still did not have a wide receiver one ceiling. So I think that I would reserve, just based on the type of player that Amari is. He's very good. I just don't know if that translates to a bunch of fantasy points now just because he has Josh Allen. And Stephon Diggs last year, at the same age that Amari is right now, was wide receiver 15 in fantasy points per game. So, and I think Diggs is better than Amari where they were at. They're comparable, but Diggs had a much higher career, much better, more productive career.
Yeah, I know my excitement was one thing, but that's really kind of what I was picturing a ceiling of. Like, I don't think Amari Cooper's going to walk in and be a top 12 wide receiver. That's not in the realm of reality. But like, you're going to get a very, very strong wide receiver too out of this. Like Agreed. What you got last year out of Amari Cooper. Like it's better because it's Josh Allen. I don't know. He had Joe Flacco for a while, and Joe Flacco's elite. So it's been years since I got to do that. So I just had to. So yes, I'm a very big fan of Amari Cooper being on the Bills right now. But yes, I may have oversold the excitement that he's not going to magically be a top 12 wide receiver, but he still should be very, very good for your fantasy teams. Let's just see how good people think he will be for their fantasy teams. In a 12-team one quarterback, Amari Cooper straight up for J.K. Dobbins. The analyzer has something to say about this. Amari Cooper 211.2, J.K. Dobbins 67.4. That needs to catch up a little on J.K. Dobbins, but
ADP is right around the corner.
Yeah. This is still Amari Cooper for me. I do love J.K. Dobbins. I love J.K. Dobbins on the Chargers, but I still think this is Amari Cooper.
Yeah, it's Amari Cooper for sure, especially because I feel like most contenders, the reason why you're buying Amari Cooper is because you are a contender. You're trying to add some extra depth or production to your team to make that championship push. I feel like the teams that have J.K. Dobbins may have found themselves in a contending spot with or without JK, but JK was just kind of like this stash player coming into the year that you weren't really counting on having all of this production out of all of a sudden. So you probably already have really good running back depth, and JK Dobbins might be your RB4 or RB5. And you can move him over for Amari Cooper. I absolutely love this kind of deal. This is what I want to do for Amari, rather than pay a first round pick for him or a first round pick for Davante Adams. How can you use the extra depth on your team to upgrade your starting lineup? I think this is a very good way to do that. So I would take Amari Cooper here too.
Yeah. By the way, J.K. Dobbins, points per game, running back 13. That's really good for what you accidentally had him on your roster.
Yeah, basically.
Next trade, 12-team super flex. Amari Cooper, a 25 second, and Jatavian Sanders for a 25 first. Cooper, 164. The second is 110. Jatavian Sanders, 14. He caught a couple of passes this week. I was excited to see that.
Hey, he's a very good stash in my opinion.
Yes, I was a fan of him coming in, and I love the landing spot. I think it's a matter of time. Not to say tight end one or anything, but like he'll be good. For a total of 289, the 25 first by itself is 369.6. Yeah, this is the same thing I said before with Davante Adams, where I want to do anything except give up a first, even if there's a second coming back. Like and these are 25, so you can we're what 6 weeks in, you have an idea of where these teams are. Like if that's a competing first and a non-competing second, and it looks like it's maybe 5-6 picks apart, sure, I guess. But I really don't want to give up a first.
Yeah, I checked. This is also a late first. Coincidentally, that second coming back is that same
teams.
It's the same. Yeah, he traded away a second. Now he's getting it back. So yeah, no matter what happens, this is a 12 pick apart. And it's probably going from, what he's hoping it's going to go from the 112 to the 212. But yeah, I like if you told me that it was a contender first and a rebuilding second, I'd be able to stomach that a lot more. The fact that you have guaranteed yourself a full rounds difference, even as a contender, I still feel like I don't know if I could just go pay this for Amari. Again, I point you to the list of players that I just ran down with Davante Adams of guys that I'd rather pay a first for than Amari, because I like Amari in this offense, but I just don't know if that ceiling is there. Like Mike Evans right now is the PPR wide receiver 23 in points per game. Is Amari Cooper going to be better than Mike Evans?
And Mike Evans made 2 catches and got hurt this past week and still was a top 24 wide receiver, which hurt a lot of my fantasy teams. Yeah, I'd like exactly what Addison said. I just think there's better things you could do with your first. I don't know if you'll be sad, at the end of the season that you traded your first for Amari Cooper, but I just think you could be happier, and that's important to maximize your happiness.
That for sure. We want more long-term value. I want you to be happy at the end of the season that you're like, yes, I was happy that I paid a first for Amari Cooper because that helped me win a championship. But I also want you to be happy in March and April next year when you're in rookie draft season and you're like, oh, maybe I should have kept my first round pick because I could have gotten all these other rookies, and maybe I could have done something different with that first than just go pay for this Amari Cooper that nobody really wants now because he turned 31 and he might just die on my team.
Yeah, and usually if I'm a competing team and I have my first, I'm saving that for an emergency, or my leagues don't have trade deadlines. So when I hit the playoffs and I want to give myself that from a team that, just didn't make it. So like this egregious is a strong word. Unnecessary is even still a bit of a strong word. It's just not to my taste. It's just, I think it's fine. I think it's a good trade in general, just not what I want to do. Excellent. All right. So let's talk about the third player. And this is a player, like the title said, it was trades and contracts. David Montgomery got a new contract, 2 years, I believe is about 18 million extension. Not bad, David Montgomery. Not bad indeed. David Montgomery, one of those names where I feel like it might not really matter what he's really doing. His value is never going to be up to what it should. Just because he was one of those, did he? I don't get it's what 2016 was so long ago, but he was the RB2 below Miles Sanders or above. I can't remember anymore. But like
2019, yeah, 19, he was.
Yeah, sorry.
He was probably behind Josh Jacobs and Miles Sanders in that class because Monty fell to the third round, and Penny was in that class too. I think.
I don't want to talk. No, 18. Yes.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yes.
Must be on that one.
He was the one running back that snuck into the first round of 2018 after Saquon and
the best third round running back drafted in the first round. Yeah. So Montgomery never really it seemed like the people were disappointed, even though he did pretty well in Chicago for a while. And then when he goes to the Lions, they draft Gibbs and everyone's just like, oh, well, now he's just a committee back, but he's scoring really well. Like David Montgomery is the points per game RB8 right now.
He is the most underrated running back in Dynasty.
Yeah, and he's 27, which isn't great, but think about every good running back right now. They're pretty much from the 2017 class. Like,
he's a young 27 as well. He turned 27 back in June, so it's not like he's on the cusp of turning 28 this season or anything like that. So
yeah,
he's a relatively
and
young 27.
he's getting the kind of usage where it will elongate his career. He's not getting 30 touches a game, but he's still scoring really, really well. Just that, I think it just says what that offense is becoming or has become, really. So yeah, I'm in on David Montgomery. I guess it depends let's see what his prices are. 12 team super flex. David Montgomery in a 26 second for a 26 first and 25 seconds. That got confusing. One more time. David Montgomery and a 26 first for a 26 first and a 25 second. All right. So David Montgomery is 131, which is low. 26 second is 76.5 for a total of 208. A 26 first is 240. The 25 second is 111 for a total of 351. So the analyzer has this pretty heavily in the favor of the first. I really think part of that is because David Montgomery at 131 is a little disrespectful.
Yes, massively.
See, the thing is, like, David Montgomery for a 26 first, I don't think would surprise me value-wise, but I'm curious if you need to give a first for David Montgomery. I think perception is what it is, that everyone's just like, okay, well, yeah, he's scoring well, but whatever. If you're playing with smart people, they should hold out for more. And like, I love doing the year out pick swap of the same rounds. Like, that is a move I go to pretty often if I ever have picks on my team. I don't want to give up a first. At least it's a 26 first. You know what? No, you're getting a second back. I would do this for David Montgomery in the right situation.
There we go. We got him to it. So I would 100% pay a 26 first. I don't think, depending on who the manager is that has David Montgomery in your league, it may not require a first, or you might be able to pull off the first for Monty in a second kind of thing, or this pick swappy, whatever this deal is. But I would be willing to pay the first. And there are a good handful of instances in the trade finder of David Montgomery for a first. Like, there's one that happened today, apparently, as we're recording this. Monty for a 25 first. There's another one in here of Monty for a 25 first and Raheem Mostert. Monty for a 25 first and a 25 third. Monty for a 25 first. This is all just in the past week. That's kind of the going rate.
So I guess you do have to pay a first for David Montgomery. Okay.
Monty for 2 seconds and DeMarcus Robinson.
Oh, see, I would love that.
Yeah, that one. I would love that. I would do that in a heartbeat for sure. There are other ones in here where that are really in the Montgomery, like Monty for Adonai Mitchell, Kamani Vidal in a second.
Oof, again, pile all of that roster clogger stuff and
Monty for Calvin Ridley, Mike Gesicki in a second.
I don't want to
actually in this deal. Actually, it was Monty and Mooney for Ridley, Gesicki in a second. But I would do that for just Monty.
Yeah.
So you should go out and buy David Montgomery if you're competing. I would rather spend a first on David Montgomery than I would spend it on Davante Adams or Amari Cooper.
I'm behind that. I can get behind that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to this next big boy, though. Tyreek Hill, James Cook, and David Montgomery for DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, and Jonathan Brooks. Tyreek Hill, 509. James Cook, 246. David Montgomery, 131 for a total of 887. DJ Moore, 384. Zay Flowers, 369. Jonathan Brooks, almost time, baby, 295 for a total of 1047. Man, like, it's so rough to value Tyreek Hill right now because he's not scoring, and that's what we need him for. James Cook is always a bit of an enigma to me because, like, right when I'm like, all right, he's fine, he starts not doing fine, and then he'll have a 30-point game. It's like, just tell me what to think, James Cook.
Ray Davis is better.
Yeah. I do really like Ray Davis, but that's fine.
I also do really agree that I have that exact same problem with James Cook because I'm just like, oh, he had 2 40-yard touchdowns this week and had a few catches. Fantastic. And then the next week he is like 8 for 30. And I'm like, So what are you? Which one
Exactly.
is it? It is so frustrating.
So getting off of Tyreek Hill, who's a 30-year-old where we don't know whose quarterback is, James Cook, I have no idea what to do with. And we say we like David Montgomery, but DJ Moore, I know, is not going to be what he was last year because there's 6 other wide receivers there now. But he's still very dependable. Zay Flowers, we talked about, like he's the dude there. And I'm in on Jonathan Brooks. Like I liked Chuba Hubbard coming into the league because I'm a very big fan of Devy running backs who just drop before, like the year before they're supposed to come into the league. It's like, how bad could they have been where you were the running back 1 in Devy the year before, and then all of a sudden you're just terrible. And I'm so glad that Chuba Hubbard's been showing out a little bit, but I just think Jonathan Brooks is better than Chuba Hubbard is. And while Chuba doing what he's doing might make it a little longer period of time before Jonathan Brooks just takes over, but I think it's inevitable. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty easily on the DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, and Jonathan Brooks side.
I would pick that side, though I understand going and trying to grab Tyreek Hill. I think, obviously being able to move DJ Moore for Tyreek Hill, the only way that you can do that is when Tyreek is not producing because Tua is out. But once Tua comes back in, I mean, everybody's going to be taking Tyreek Hill over DJ Moore. And he's still not even a player that I'm upset taking into the offseason if you didn't win a championship, because I do think that Tua is going to come back this year. But even if he doesn't, he'll be back next year, I think.
They'll do something. They're not the kind of team that's going to draft a quarterback. Like they're going to, if Tua's not there, they're going to get a vet to come in and play. Like they want to win. Like that's, that I'm not super worried about. I'm more worried about like the right now, maybe the rest of the year.
Yeah, for sure. But I think if you want to go for the home run swing of like, I'm just going to go win my league by acquiring Tyreek Hill right now, and then he's like going to be the wide receiver 3 from week 10 on, that's a move that could legitimately win you your league. And then James Cook and Zay Flowers is fine. Monty versus Brooks, that's production versus potential. I will say to the Jonathan Brooks side, that is the only side that has an asset that has the ability to absolutely skyrocket in value in Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, in Jonathan
Brooks.
Like
if he really does come back, I know we were just talking about how well Chuba's been playing, but if Brooks comes back and has a J.K. Dobbins second half rookie season, a Jonathan Taylor second half rookie season, and then we're just going to be talking about him entering year 2 in the NFL, year 2 off the ACL, in this hopefully revamped offense that Canales is going to be able to like pick who his quarterback is.
Yes.
There's going to be, and he's so young. Like if you look at KTC right now, so you have Gibbs, Bijan, Brees. All those guys are 23 and younger. Then you have Saquon, 27, Kenneth Walker, 24, Kyron Williams, 24, JT, 25, Achane, 23, Cook, 25, McCaffrey, 28, Derrick Henry, 30, Alvin Kamara, 29, David Montgomery, 27. Like Jonathan Brooks is 21. He's a fresh 21 years old too. His birthday, he turned 21 in July.
Oh my, wow.
he's
a baby.
He is so young. So just if he produces well to end the year, couple that with the fact that he doesn't turn 22 till basically the start of next season, like he's going to just skyrocket in value artificially because he's at minimum 3 years younger than everybody else in the league right now, other than rookies coming in. So that is the one side that could absolutely skyrocket in dynasty value just because of Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I am coming around on Zay Flowers being a dude. So yeah, to me, it's pretty easily that side. Though I don't think you're sad on the other side, especially if the quarterback situation in Miami works out. I think there's a very good chance that Tyreek side outscores the other side, but you're gaining so many years back everywhere that it doesn't need to be this year for the other side.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. You're not mad, but the other side is a dynasty side.
Yeah, exactly. Scrolling just to make sure. Nope, that's it. That has been the DLF Trade Show and the DLF YouTube channel even. This has been the DLF Trade Show and the DLF YouTube channel. Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse, Addison Hayes at AmazeHayes_. We'll catch you next time.